story with the economy. There are green shoots, but unemployment is still over 6% and 9% for African Americans. The economy has lost 10 million jobs compared to a year ago. Tens of millions of Americans report being thousands of dollars behind in rent and utility. And as Treasury Secretary Yellen and Federal Reserve Chair Powell have repeatedly warned us, our economy and its recovery remain deeply uncertain. There are bumps, but mainly because of the stimulus bills we have done. We did a bill in March, and the May and June numbers look pretty good, but then sunk again over the summer and fall. We did a bill in December. The January numbers look pretty good. But that is not evidence that the economy is able to sustain things on its own. That is evidence that the federal government needs to continue its role to get us back on track. And we've come a long way, but we have a long way to go. The American Rescue Plan is designed to build on our early progress and finish the job, to help our country get through the final months of the crisis and then, equally important, bring our economy roaring back. We cannot go through the situation we did back in 2009, where the stimulus wasn't strong enough and we stayed in recession for years. So just because the numbers are not as bad as they were doesn't mean we don't need a continued strong push to get us out of this ditch and go upward and forward. Now, we had always hoped that this very important work would be bipartisan. Regrettably, it seems that too many of our Republican colleagues are resorting to the same predictable objections they raise about nearly every proposal supported by a Democrat. It doesn't matter what's in the bill. Everything my colleagues oppose is, quote, a liberal wish list. That's what many of them call it. Well, let me tell you, this bill is not a liberal wish list. This is an American wish list. When people want checks to help them get out of the morass, that's not a liberal wish list. That's what the American people want. It's an American wish list. When people want resources to open schools quickly and safely, that's not a liberal wish list. That's an American wish list. When people want assistance for the hardest hit small businesses, that's not a liberal wish list. That's an American wish list. Funding to keep teachers, firefighters, transit workers, first responders in red states and blue on the job, not a liberal wish list, an American wish list. So many of the people affected by this bill are not liberals or Democrats. They may be Republicans, they may be independents, they may be conservatives, but they're Americans who want some help to get out of this morass. And money to expand the testing and speed of the distribution of vaccines, the cornerstone of ending this crisis once and for all, that's not a liberal wish list. That's an American wish list. Everyone wants the vaccine out there. And direct checks, as I mentioned, as promised to Americans struggling to keep up with expenses, to buy the groceries, the medicine, to pay the rent and utilities. That's not a liberal wish list. That's an American wish list. And I'd ask my Republican colleagues to go ask their constituents which of these things their constituents oppose. None. That's what the data shows. The American Rescue Plan will be the single largest anti-poverty bill in recent history, with crucial assistance for American families, particularly those struggling with the costs of child care. And it will give tax breaks for low-income workers, so when they work hard, they can afford the necessities of life. So these things are, quote, the liberal wish list that Republicans are talking about, support for schools and jobs and families and workers and the vaccine. No way. Ironically, the, quote, liberal wish list includes a whole bunch of bipartisan amendments that were accepted, including provisions to help restaurants, sponsored by Senators Sinema and Wicker, a vaccine public awareness program, sponsored by Senators Cardin and Portman, a provision to better target direct payments, sponsored by Senators Manchin and Collins. Make no mistake, the American Rescue Plan is a very, very strong bill that will move our country forward in amazing ways. So, it should come as no surprise that support of the American Rescue Plan is coming from all over the country. Hundreds of business leaders, not the most liberal bunch, have urged Congress to pass this bill. Mayors from more than 435 mayors and state leaders, Democrats and Republicans, have said the same. They want the bill. As one Republican mayor from Michigan put it, the need is real, and not just in Democratic communities. He went on to tell his fellow Republicans in Washington who opposed the bill to, quote, talk to some of the Republican mayors. Talk to some of the Republican mayors. But if my Republican colleagues here in the Senate don't want to listen to the words of their fellow Republicans and governors, they can look at the polls which show the vast majority of Americans, including a majority of Republicans, should support this bill. It seems like the only people who are dead set against this bill are Republican senators, not Republicans out in the country, not Republican mayors, not Republican business people, not Republican small businesses. I guess all of this should be expected. COVID-19 is not a red state or a blue state crisis. Our Republican friends should know that. It's not a Democrat or Republican concern. They should know that too. COVID-19 is a menace to all of us, and we should be banding together to fight it. The economic crisis has affected all of us, and the plan that we're going to vote on this week is going to provide real, robust relief for all of us. Whatever our Republican colleagues decide to do, the Senate majority is intent on going forward and helping the American people with bold action quickly. I yield the floor.
Under the previous order, the leadership time is reserved. Under the previous order, the Senate will be in a period of morning business with senators permitted to speak therein for up to 10 minutes each.